cat in your language. So that's the easiest way for me to put it for people to understand that someone's perception of what you're saying and what you're actually trying to say is completely different. So when you're trying to get a coach, when you're trying to work with somebody else, sit down and set out what the expectation is supposed to look like. Okay. This is what I'm trying to get. What do you offer in this realm? How is it going to be delivered? And then the biggest, set a limit to the time frame. Because you just met this person and y'all are vibing. It's great, it's good. You want it to end good. So a lot of times we don't tell people because we start vibing. We don't tell them how long we want it to last, how long we think it should be. People treat it like marriages and relationships, and business is not marriage and relationship. Nope. It ain't supposed to go on forever. Nope. Sometimes it can, sometimes it doesn't though. The person who created Walmart eventually stopped being CEO of Walmart for a reason. Not everything is a legacy business. They have to sometimes pull outsiders in. And because, especially I feel like for Caribbean people and people who are not from this country, I think it's important to set those expectations out clearly. And whether it's in a contract or in an email, this is what I need help with. I need help with A, B, C, and D. Where do you fall in this? What's the time frame for us to get these specific goals delivered? And then the best part is having performance measures. And that's because I did grant writing forever. I was in like federal grants for majority of my career. Oh, so nice. Because of that, I'm always thinking about the performance measures. How do I know that this is working? So then after you tell the person, this is what my expectations are, where do you fall into this? Here's the time frame that I expect this to be delivered. You set up little check-ins in between. This is if you say, I want this to be delivered in a year, every 90 days, I want to check in with you and see how close we're getting to making sure that this partnership is working for us. And then in those 90 days, if I see something wrong or you see something wrong, let's adjust. Because we already agreed that this is the expectation. This is how you're going to meet the expectation. And we're going to try to accomplish this in a year. So if this is what we're doing, every 90 days, let's meet. Let's discuss where we're at and if it's actually working. So that when that year is over, I'm not mad at you.
Yeah. You followed up, you have your paper trails and so forth, and you have meetings in between.
And Caribbean people, we don't like paper trails.
No. As soon as you say contract.
Oh, no. The government's involved. I gotta go.
People's thinking it's big money, you too expensive, God forbid. I mean, this is a friend of mine, right? So it was kind of funny in a way. It didn't have to do with contracts. But the insinuation that they were saying, do you have Nikki G money? And I'm like, it's only $20. Some people like, you know what I mean? I don't know. We could go into a whole new topic about that, but it's really interesting.
They automatically assume that you're big money because you have like a name attached to your thing. And they're like, oh no, it has to be big money because you're doing it this way. I get it.
Yeah, but come on now. I mean, okay, so you mentioned about, the crab in the barrel mentality and, how our people are and stuff like that, right? My thoughts about that, most times I would say, because like how you say, because of what people went through in this country compared to Caribbean people or whatever the case may be, right? Do you see it justifiable of how Black people act, or I should say our people act between Caribbean people and American people? Is there a difference you see within that, with the cultures and so forth? And it's like a two-part question, and does it in some way impact your company? And what way does it impact? Is it good, bad, or?
Okay, let's go to the first part again, because I know how to answer the second part, but repeat the first part again.
Right. So the first part is basically, bottom line is how Black people act, how our African American people act, how our Caribbean people act, being that we're colored or whatever. Do you see a difference between the Caribbean community and the American community? And do you think it's because of back in slavery days, why people act the way that they act? People say, oh, we don't have no business. We don't do this. All we think about is partying and stuff like that. I don't think that. I know the reason why we might do it, but what is your justification for why people act the way they act?
Okay, so my background in nonprofit is going to make my answer is going to be the gist of the baseline for my answer.
Okay, no
So just know
problem.
that part.
Yeah.
African Americans are systematically, it's not just, hey, I'm going to call you derogatory names. Hey, you were enslaved. It's systematic racism from redlining to, just like we just heard recently. I was one of the biggest fans of Navy Federal, okay? No one couldn't tell me nothing. I wanted a Navy Federal account like I wanted my next breath. They are the ones denying Black people mortgages and etc. There is literally systematic racism. Are there a selected few who have been able to push through and rise above that? Yes. I feel like as Caribbeans and as foreigners, Africans, anybody who's not dealt with systematic racism cannot relate well to what the American experience is for Black Americans. And that's where the disconnect happens. Until I worked in the nonprofit field, until I understood systematic racism, I was one of those people too. I was just like, just work harder. Like, we came from another country. We had to learn your language. We had to assimilate to this, and we have business and we have everything. Why can't you? Because with that systematic racism, you're talking about generational psychological warfare on these people. And with them having psychological systematic racism put on them, they've been formatted to think a certain way. It's like being in a house and somebody's telling you, you're ugly, you're ugly, you're ugly, you're ugly, you're ugly. For generations, after a while, you think you're ugly. You have a kid, you're going to tell your kid she's ugly. That kid has a kid until somebody tries to break the pattern. And if that person is trying to break that pattern and they're still in the community that knows that this is the ugly family, even if you're saying, I'm the fourth generation in this family and I'm gorgeous, you're still in a community that knows you as the ugly family.
Yeah.
So with that disconnect happening with foreign Black people and American Black people, I think we miss a lot of points in how they function and how they do things. And that point gets missed. And then it ends up looking like we're judging them, or we think they're lazy, and they're looking at us like, you came to steal opportunities and you just think that we're not doing anything. I think once you come into this country, you have to kind of understand the history of what you're coming into.
Yes. Yeah.
Because the other people don't see us as Caribbean Black people, American Black people, African Black people. They just see you as Black.
Yeah.
So with you coming in here and not understanding how the systematic racism works and how the generational abuse of African Americans in this country work, you think that being a Jamaican American, a Jamaican Black person, a Haitian Black person, a Nigerian Black person separates you from that. And America's like, no, it don't. No, it don't. The only difference is because you are as aware and it didn't affect you the same way, you come here and you grind a little bit differently, not harder, differently, because you don't have that oppression that they've experienced all their lives. So there's a lot of, I have to do whatever I got to do to get to the top going on. And in their way, for the African Americans, their way was to always, not to always, they were taught house slave versus plantation slave a lot of times, where if I do sell you out, I might be able to get something better. Not saying that Caribbeans weren't similar, didn't have similar experiences, but it wasn't as long lasting and as systematic like in the 50s and 40s, where people were still trying to pass as white because they were light enough. You're not going to hear the same thing with us, because instead we're trying to bleach just to match. Like, no, it's not, because we need to be able to get the opportunities in this way that they would need to be able to get a bank account because they're light skinned. The lighter I am, I could get a bank account, versus if I bleach my skin, I'm gonna get a boyfriend. Like, it's not the same. It's not the same experiences. So because we have that disconnect and understanding their experiences, the crab in the barrel mentality is slightly different between the cultures too. The crab in the barrel mentality for African Americans sometimes was built on survival.
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes the crab in a barrel for Caribbeans was built on being seen, on the validation, because you were coming into this country, because we had
recognition.
Yes, recognition is so important on our culture. Because I know even as a Haitian kid, I said I was going to be a lawyer forever. I took the LSATs. My dad was proud. Everybody was like, yes. And then I went into marketing and they're like, what is that?
But what made you change? Why, what, not to cut your statement, but what made you change?
I did this thing called Vista, which is Volunteers in Service to America. And now looking back, it was a great opportunity. It brought me where I'm at now. But every time I say it out loud, till this day, my family looks at me like, what? Drugs? Because I was getting paid $4 an hour. And we're talking about 2013, 2014.
What?
But that's what you sign up to do. And it's legal. It's Volunteers in Service to America. You get paid at the poverty level of the community that you're serving. It's not a paycheck. It's a living allowance. I had a plan. I was like, if I do Vista, they're going to put my student loans in forbearance. They pay off the interest on my student loans that entire year that I'm in Vista. I'm eligible for a federal position. I'm going to get a federal position. That federal position will pay off law school, and I'm good. I had a plan. This was the plan. I knew what I was doing. Okay. Then I did my first year of Vista. Then I was asked to be a Vista leader. I was like, ooh, that's 2 years. That's more money. Yes. Oh, and they give you the equivalent of a Pell Grant. And you're not volunteering like, oh, I'm at a food pantry stocking things. You're doing capacity building. So you're doing major projects that are supposed to build capacity building and sustainability to alleviate poverty in a specific neighborhood, which is why you're getting paid at the poverty level of that neighborhood. And being that I'm in Trenton, considered a Trentonian now, apparently, I'm in Trenton, New Jersey. So the poverty level here, the line is very low. So I was getting paid like, what is it, $5.40 every 2 weeks? And I got a kid.
Okay, so is that, because I've heard of that before, but I think in Jersey they call it something different. Do you go into that program and stay for 6 months, or is it out of?
No, it's a year, and it's a federal program, so it's nationwide. It's Peace Corps. It's basically Peace Corps, but it's domestic Peace Corps. And there's 3 departments. There's AmeriCorps, there's Vista, and then there's a third one that does disaster relief, and that one is the one for 6 months. 6 months to 10 months, and you go to the locations like when they had Hurricane Trina and stuff like that. You go to those locations and you basically dress like almost in army gear, because you're basically rebuilding homes, clearing up debris for 6 to 10 months. So I did Vista, which is the capacity building corporate level type of things that you do for nonprofits, government agencies, and educational agencies. So my first year, I was with PEI Kids, that's Prevention, Education, and Intervention. They're the ones who actually got Megan's Law passed. So they deal with child sexual abuse. And that's very dear to me. And so I was like, I was their social media marketing manager, and I was their volunteer coordinator. So every time they had this food and wine tasting, I'm the one that gathered all the people to do the food and wine tasting. I marketed it. And then that year that I was there, they made $17,000 more than they'd made in the last 10 years that they were doing it.
My goodness.
So I was like, oh, I'm good at this. And then they also helped me get my citizenship that year too. From doing Vista, because I was like, I'm so active in the community, and made it look even better. So once I did that, and they asked me to I wanted to stay with the company so bad. And I never forget this. Roz was like, I see something else for you, and it's not here. And I was like, are you kidding me? I was so heartbroken, because I was like, but I love it here, and you love me. Why would you? She's still one of my mentors to this day. And she's like, not right now, because there was other people at the time who were stealing my work and trying to pass it off as theirs.
Oh, wow.
I didn't know this, but she wanted to prove that this was what was going on. So she's like, the only way she could have proved it is by getting me out of there.
Getting you out. Okay.
And they put me into a Vista leader position. And then when I got to that, the person there was my boss for for 8 years after that. Saul saw so much in me. Afnan saw so much in me. And I was at the Bonner Foundation, which is this big foundation in Princeton. They have found this foundation is unlike universities all over the country. And they provide scholarships for students based on community service and things that they do to do political science majors, people who are doing different things to kind of like change laws, not just doing community service, but changing laws and lobbying for assistance for the communities in poverty. So
Yeah.
I worked in that office for a couple of years, and then they all got their hooks in me. I'm taking my LSATs, and they're like, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna take 1 year off, and that's it.
Oh.
Did Vista again, then they offered me program manager to run Vista for a statewide program.
Oh, so they plug you in.
Yes, so I went from being a Vista to being a Vista leader to being a
Yeah.
program manager and then an associate director for the entire state.
But did they pay you better by that time?
Yeah, they paid me
Okay.
very, very well.
Okay.
Well, very well compared.
Okay.
Very well to where
Where
at
you
now
started with the
no.
$4. Yeah.
Yes, but they paid me very well. Like by the time I left, my salary was nearly 70 a year. So, and I had full state benefits, and I was still eligible for the federal jobs. That's how I opened up my network, and I fell in love with marketing. I just felt my degree was in psychology and liberal arts, because as an attorney, you would need to be able to understand the perceptions of how individuals are thinking. And I wanted to be a lawyer since I went to this school called Crown School for Law and Journalism in middle school in New York. So I used to do summer school at Brooklyn Law School, summer school at Columbia Law School. Nothing was going to stop this path until I got this job. And at that point, my daughter was like, well, Mom, I really don't want you to go back to school anymore, to be honest, because you are always in school. Like, you're never home. So even when I went to do my master's, I did my master's online just so she didn't have any complaints. And I had to ask her permission, like, so can Mommy get a master's degree? She's like, yes, I guess, because everybody in my family knows I'm a career student. I will go to school before I go to work.
Yeah. That's what I wanted to ask you. That's what I wanted to ask you. Did you do it online? But if you get the opportunity, even though, I mean, you have to focus and you have to study and so forth. But if you get the opportunity to do what you really wanted to do, would you do it? Because you're saying that you were part of Princeton, they offer political science and so forth. But I know when you have just as I started, when I said, when you have a passion, that's what draws you. I've heard of doctors and lawyers and stuff becoming chefs and just doing their passion because that's what keeps them alive, So do you think you would ever turn around and do something like that?
It was a dual passion because the school that I went to was Crown School for Law and Journalism. But when I wanted to do law, I wanted to do entertainment and PR as well. So I wanted to do entertainment law and deal with contracts all day. Because again, I'm a weirdo who likes paperwork. I can read contracts all day and find loopholes in anything. You give me something, I will find a loophole in it. Just let me read it for a few hours. So I think maybe when I'm like 55 and I got money to waste.
But you're on the path. Because remember when I said, there's things that you do as a puzzle and it's pieces. So there's a lot of things that you do that'll come together and you never know. You know what I mean? You're already in it. You have, let's say 20 years or 30 years, not 30 because you're very young. I'd say probably like 15 years or so, or, or you look young, I should say.
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah. So you never know when that, path might cross where you might probably say, well, let me do this because you're already in the business aspect of it,
Yeah. So I mean, I always tell people, I joke about it all the time. I was like, once I have enough money to pay for it, I will do it. But if I tell you I'm going to go get another set of student loans for that, I'm already $140,000 in debt with these student loans. I am not getting another one. It got to a point where I was like, I'm going to go take 6 art credits just so you guys don't try to get your money back. I'm going to go take 6 art credits because as long as you have 6 credits, they can't try to get the money back. I was like, I'm going to go take a painting class and a drawing class because I like art, okay? And they're like, so now you're going to be an artist? Anything to not give you this money back. Anything to not pay you back right now. That one is the least stressful I could think of taking. So it was to the point where I'm like, I'm going to become an art major because I don't want to give you the money back. And law school starts at about $150,000. That's what I owe. So it really is right now a financial reason that I wouldn't go to law school. That's the only reason that I wouldn't reconsider and go back. Okay. But the way I love marketing and the way that there's so much legal aspects to marketing, no matter how, I tell people this all the time because once we get to that part, but my dad's thing took such a toll on me. So no matter how messed up I am mentally, I
Yeah.
could have been sitting in a puddle of tears for 2 days. If you be like, my Instagram is not getting followers, what do I need? I'd be like, did you try posting this type of reel? Did you try making a carousel? Hold on, let me make
Yeah.
one. I can never be too hungry, too depressed, too broke to
Mm.
come up with a marketing idea for you.
Mm.
I'm never too messed up to come up with a marketing idea.
Yeah.
And even with the event staffing thing, I can be pissed off. I quit my job. I quit my job every day. And I'm the owner of the company. You can't quit your own company.
That's
I
true.
quit it. Every event makes me quit. Every event. I'm like, this is my last event. You will not see me at none of these things anymore. And my staff be like, we got it. You don't even have to be here. I don't know why you're here. And then I come in and be like, move that table over. It's not supposed to be there. And they're like, did you not go home? I was like, I did, but I came back. So those two things, I just love them so much that I know that right now this is where I need to be. And in the future, when those two things make me enough money, because I do want to be able to, I love helping people. Service, I always tell people service is my love language.
Yeah.
So no matter what I do, as long as I know I am in service, I'm serving my community, I'm serving my clients, I'm extremely satisfied with that. I'm content, I'm happy. That's where my joy lies. That's where my passion lies. So whether I'm servicing through marketing, I'm servicing through law, I'm servicing through coordinating your event, because I am not an event planner. Even though people think I am, I tell them all the time, don't put me in that category.
Yeah.
Because I have a level of respect for event planners that I don't want to be compared with what I do to what they're doing. They take a lot of time to do what they do. So I don't want to take that away from them. But coordinating and making sure everything runs smoothly the day of, right before the event, yeah, I can do that in my sleep.
Yeah. All right. So it's amazing. I mean, if you guys are now tuning in, there was so much information that Gigi mentioned. And I just want you to know that you could tune in if you're driving. You could tune into islandvibes.net. You could also see it on YouTube on Island Vibe. You could also see it on Table Talk Show with Nikki G, the voice. Gigi is the CEO of her own company, which is Well Plug Services. It's a family brand. We're going to take a short break. We're going to get into the news about her father. It's been a couple of years now. And, when we get back, I will tell you what we're going to talk about. And Gigi, I just want, before we jump into, with your dad and so forth, I just want you to give everyone well, actually, I have a question for you. If you have to, what advice would you give your younger self now that you're here? Because after you said, you quit your job so many times and this, and you have so many different experiences and all that, what advice would you give your younger self if you have to look back and you see your younger self coming up into this industry and for all that you know, what would you say?
Trust yourself. Don't listen to nobody. Don't let them stop you again. Trust yourself. If this is how you want to do something, do it exactly the way you said you were going to do it. Don't let nobody tell you to do things differently when you know better. Don't try to please everybody all the time. It's not even that serious. They might be pleased with your idea better than they would be pleased with their own, and they just don't know it because you won't open your mouth. So I would tell my younger self to not be so scary and not be such a people pleaser, not be so scared to tell people that that's a bad idea. Trust yourself more and don't always be so vulnerable in telling people that you don't trust yourself. No, just go ahead and fake it till you make it. Fake the confidence, fake the whole you know what you're doing thing, because it's not necessarily fake. You do know what you're doing. Step into the light. Stop being afraid to be in the front runner, because that was the biggest thing with me. I was like, I'm not the face of Well Plug. Well Plug has its own face. I plan on selling this company in 20 years when it's like worth $5 million and then relaxing on the beach. So don't put my face on nothing. I don't want to be seen. I'm in the background, which is why half the time nobody knew I was the owner. And then my friend was like, oh, put CEO on your chest, at least if you're going to do all that. So I would start putting CEO on my chest so people could know I own the company, guys. I'm not just a worker. I know I'm taking out the trash, but and there's 12 other people here and I chose to take out the trash. But what happened is I chose to take out the trash. That's all that matters. So I would tell my younger self to know, no, you are the face. You know what you're doing.
Yeah.
And don't be humble about it. It is what it is. Yes, you are one of the smartest people in the room. And so it is what it is. Flex it. Go ahead and tell them that this is what you do proudly, confidently, charge your worth, write everything down, put it in the contracts that you know exist and are good for you, and do what's best for you first and foremost, no matter what, and just run with it. I would definitely tell myself to just flex, because that was one of my biggest mistakes in life. I never wanted to flex after a while. I was just so, oh, I don't want no one to look at me and think this, and oh no, let me be humble, let me be
Modest.
unique. It's not good to, no, flex, because you have it. And by being modest and meek, you let everybody kind of control things, control the narratives, tell you like this is how it should be done and it was wrong, or take things from you and then build it on their own. So many things went wrong because I kept trying to, I'm not sure, maybe this is how they want things. It's about the people. It's about the people. I love service and I want to be of service. But the reason I am of service to you is because I know what I'm doing. I can't be of service
and not know.
No, you're not going to go to the surgeon and tell him, look, for you to open my heart, I want you to go through my arm. And he's going to be like, all right, sure. Yeah, I'm going to do heart surgery through your left arm. I got it. No. So you can't come to me and be like, yeah, I have 200 people at this event, but I only need one bartender and one server. No, you don't. Or I know how to do my Instagram already. Like, I'm not posting this. I want to do it this way. I'm going to post this video of us and it's unclear and there's no background and there's no website on it. And this is how I'm doing it because everybody else who's trending is doing that. Did you pull your analytics to see if that actually is going to work for you? Because the people that are doing that, their analytics told them to do that. What are your analytics telling you to do? So I realized that a lot of times people know what they're doing because they saw. I know what I'm doing because I read, I have the experience, I took the classes, I paid the money for the degrees to do it, and I'm really just I know what I'm doing. I'm that girl, like, and I'm not hiding it no more. That's it. Oh, and the other question that we never got to too. How does the crabs in the barrel thing affect your business? My business personally. A lot of times, because of what I just said, like a lot of times, it does make it hard for me to trust people. Like even with my business shower, I got scared to actually promote the fact that I had a registry. And with my registry, I was like, hey, if I put all the things I actually need, are people going to see it and be like, oh, I could do this myself and buy all my products for themselves and now go around and be like, we don't need to hire Well Plug no more because we know. So I didn't even put half the things I actually need. I just put gift cards on there. I was like, I'll buy it myself. So I realized that afterwards, I was like, dang, I didn't do what I wanted to do because I'm so afraid that somebody's going to steal my ideas when it comes to certain things. And a lot of times that holds me back. One thing that someone that used to coach me in the past, she was actually a realtor. Her name is Lillian. She lives in Trenton. One thing she told me one time when I was flipping out because somebody completely stole everything word from word and did not want to give me no credit for it. When I tell you, like, I did the best marketing plan for this person. Oh no! I built them, and this person was one of the reasons that Well Plug even got started. But when they went off into the night with all of the stuff that they had, never wanted to give me credit for anything. And behind the scenes, everybody just saw it. And then one time I actually like did something, and then someone who noticed it was like, put it on Facebook, was like, I hope you're gonna give her credit because she did everything. And I was like, oh my God. And it started a big rift. And it was actually somebody I was dating at the time. And we ended up breaking up. And that was one of the reasons that we argued about. She told me, why are you so upset? And I was like, well, because he stole my idea. Like, I don't even want to do this no more. I'm not going to launch. I'm not doing nothing. I don't care. And this was like back in 2017, 2018. She was like, it's your idea. You don't have any other ideas? And I was like, what do you mean? She was like, that was the only idea you've ever gotten? You're not going to come up with another idea? That you a one hit wonder? You mad because you're a one-hit wonder. The only reason you would be this upset is because you're a one-hit wonder. And I was like, I'm not a one-hit wonder.
You think? Yeah.
I mean, she's like, only a one-hit wonder is going to get that mad. So they stole your idea. Come up with another one. They can never manage your idea the way you manage your idea because it's your idea. They're going to take it. They're going to make it their own. They're going to format it the way they want to. And it may or may not work for them, but who cares? They take one thing from you, come up with another one, come
Something
up with
else.
another one, come up with
Yeah.
another one, come up with
Yeah.
another one. And that mentality, sometimes every once in a while, I'll miss out on it, but that mentality kind of stuck with me. So now I don't really get as big mad as I used to get. I might frown a little bit. I'll have like a day or two where I'm like, oh man, that's kind of messed up. I thought we were friends.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I'm like, I'll come up with another one,
Yeah, you just
and
keep it
another one, and
moving.
another one.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then every time I come up with another one, I remembered how you stole that one. So now I put another barrier. I set another boundary. So you
Yeah.
can't do that to me again.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna come up with another one. So I think that's the biggest thing that we have to think about. We get so upset about the crabs in a barrel thing and about people taking from us and people being having the ability to kind of like, oh, they took my idea, they can't take your sauce. You're the secret ingredient.
Exactly. They can't take you as a person and what you
Yeah.
have inside. And that's why I asked if, if anyone or from your experience of people sabotaging you or taking something from you, your experience alone will tell you, listen, I'm not going there. I'm going to do X, Y, and Z so this doesn't happen again. And I actually watched a show last night, this girl called Vida. That's not the name of the show, but the name of the artist is called Vida. And she lived in England. She's Jamaican heritage. And it was a whole thing of, she was behind her brother and stuff like that, helping him out. And then all of a sudden, not all of a sudden, but she was talented herself, right? Later down the line, she met this guy. She said she didn't want to be with him anymore, or whatever. He told her, you can't use my music. The day of her premiere, she had 5 songs to sing. And one of her friends said, listen, you're Vida. You could do whatever you want to do. Right? And she came up with a song, premiered it. She was at odd ends with her brother. He came up, made it a smash hit. And the same thing, when you said one hit wonder, it reminded me of that.
Yeah, because that's the thing. You can't, people are gonna steal. That's what they've been stealing since Jesus.
Yeah.
They've been stealing since Adam and Eve.
Yeah.
Come on now. Cain killed Abel. You have to realize at some given point, you're gonna get betrayed.
Yes.
It's gonna hurt. You're gonna cry. You're gonna feel broken. Give yourself time to grieve, then dust it off and come up with something else.
Keep on going. Yes. Yeah.
Because people are gonna betray you.
Yeah.
I've been getting betrayed all year. Like, people are going to betray you. It is what it is. And of course it hurts. It hurts bad. I throw shots. I'm not mature yet. I will throw shots. But I'm working on that.
Yeah.
But after that, I'm going to continue moving on. I'm going to build it back up. I'm going to make something new come up. So that's part of my rebrand. My rebrand is, okay, I see where I went wrong, because I always ask myself, what did you do to get here? Because while we're talking about crabs in a barrel, for you to have that, you were in the barrel too. Why were you in the barrel for the crabs to pull you back down? You have to ask yourself that. Fine, the crabs pulled me back down. How did I get in the barrel? So I always analyze myself in that sense, where I say, okay, I got in the barrel. Why was I in that particular barrel? How do I get out the barrel before the crabs see me and pull me back down? And then once I do that, then I say, okay, all right, it is what it is. Because if they're all in the barrel, they're all trying to get out. They're going to get out by any means necessary. I really need to ask myself, why did I let myself get caught in the barrel to begin with?
Yeah. But that's life. That's life in itself. That's experience. It builds you, right? It builds character. And the best survive is what I say,
And it's not for everybody. Everybody does not have that mentality. Everybody's not going to understand it. And that's the other thing. Like, one of my coaches, she's also a pastor. She said, this is my year to execute. She's like, I've been hearing you talk for years about all the things you want, but you're always too scared. She's like, Noah, when he had to build the ark, everybody thought he was crazy. Imagine if your Noah was your cousin and he walked into your house. You're calling your auntie like, is Noah okay? Did he hit his head? I know he was helping you with something. Did he fall off the ladder? You're not going to think it makes sense. But when God gives you a vision, it's only for you. He ain't tell Moses to build an ark to get across the Red Sea.
Exactly.
Obviously, God knew how to build arks by then. why Moses had to part the Red Sea and not put everybody in the ark and build the ark to get across it.
Yeah.
Moses got to part the Red Sea. Noah got the ark. Daniel got the lion's den. Everybody has their own thing. So
True, their own path.
It's gonna be for you no matter who steals the trees off of it, no matter who takes the wheels off the car, they take the engine, they take the brakes. I bet you're gonna have to Fred Flintstone that car and get it across the way. Whatever you gotta do, it's gonna happen because it's yours.
It's yours,
so
but you have to have
it like that.
You have to have the confidence and build that confidence in order to make it yours.
Yes.
And know that it's yours.
Yes.
In order to keep on going. I just have one thing to say before I go to break. Kirsch said that Gigi is amazing. She's phenomenal. She's a phenomenal businesswoman.
Oh, thank you.
And you're getting some positive energy over here where people saying you're fantastic, you're a well-spoken person, you know a lot. One person said they met you, what? On TikTok and they were drunk or something like that. So I'm going to take us out to break real quick. It's amazing how 2 hours could pass by because a whole
I know,
hour.
because I remember I was like, I got 30 minutes. I don't think I can talk to
pass by, but that's why I say it's a pleasure. You know, everything that you're saying so far, I know it's helping someone out there. Gigi spoke about the Peace Corps, the American Corps. You have volunteer services. What's that? Vista Peace Corps.
Vista is basically domestic Peace Corps, and it's crazy because every 5 minutes somebody's asking me to come back. As a matter of fact, I am for the 4th time in a row the New Jersey Governor's Office of Volunteerism. I have been doing their social media marketing for nonprofit training and workshops at the Governor's Conference for Volunteerism. So this is the 4th time in a row that they've asked me to come back. So this year I'm doing it on how nonprofits can maximize LinkedIn because my entire career was built around nonprofit marketing. It's now that I'm trying to transition to business marketing instead of nonprofit marketing because it's nonprofit and it's nonprofit.
But I must say this, I have to have you back based on this because my show is basically built on, people who doing household, their companies from the house and so forth, so I'd love to have you back so you could share more about your business. We want to get into the news about your dad, Edna. I'll take a quick break and then we'll come back. We want you to give your handles again before that when we come back after break. All right?
No problem.
Keep it locked to Island Vybe Radio. islandvybe.net and Table Talk Show with Nikki G the Voice.
Broadcasting live from Philadelphia, Island Vybe, Philly's newest and hottest station.
You're listening to IslandVibes.net. All your hits banging right here. Philly #1 Caribbean station. Best in dancehall.
Undisputed champion. Heavyweight, world great. At the Met Gaza celebrate.
Soca.
Call the Uber now. I am coming to ya.
Reggaeton.
Algunos parecen todavía viven en el siglo de la hombría, que te arreglas solo para ellos y que para tus hombres te maquilla.
Chuck me Soca.
Love in my heart, rum in my veins. I so love my rum. Bring an next bottle again. I so love my rum. Bring an next bottle again.
And more. IslandVibes.net.
What's this?
Welcome to Table Talk with Nikki G the Voice, where we bring to you highlights of entrepreneurs, leaders, organizers, and much more.
Cross the finish line, I'll be coming back for you.
A broad spectrum of professionals, including chefs, artists, designers, musicians, and much, much more. Our show is a new brand of talk shows where we educate, bring transparency, and last but not least, fun. Table Talk.
It's a blessing from above, and we never giving up.
Get ready for our seasons, a roller coaster of emotions, all wrapped into one.
Keep that in pieces.
Caribbean style. We'll cover our Caribbean roots as well, so keep it
Keep
locked.
that in pieces.
Welcome to Table Talk. Follow us on Instagram, YouTube, and iTunes.
Own it, girl, you just own it. 'Cause your body's on fire. Show me how to control it.
Table Talk Show is now on Island Vibes Radio. You can catch us every Saturday from 10 to 12 p.m. Log on to Island Vibes Philly or islandvibe.net.
When we outside, it's an ocean of love. All that we align to the stars up above. Let we dance now. Take a chance now with me. And we go jump till morning. Look, the moon gone sleeping. Tell them we not leaving till the last drop of a canal is madness in the capital. So I feel like I run in tongue again. Jump and shake the ground again. Wave with all my friends and them. No place like home. I feel like I run in tongue again. Jump and shake the ground again. Wave with all my friends and them. No place like home. Now is the time for it to jam on somebody. Hand up in the air. Madness everywhere. Itching with DNA. To get on bad when we on the roadway. We like we own way. Tell them freedom in with DNA. When every hand raised, we become one race. It's only one stage. This is the birthplace. Look where we are. Greatest carnival. So magical. It's a blessing sent from above. And we go jump till morning. Look, the moon gone sleeping. Tell them we not leaving till the last drop of a canal is madness in the capital. So I feel like I run in tongue again. Jump and shake the ground again. Wave with all my friends and them. No place like home. I feel like I run in tongue again. Jump and shake the ground again. Wave with all my friends and them. No place like home. Now is the time for it to jam on somebody. Hand up in the air. Madness everywhere. Itching with DNA. So jump up, play a mass. Wind up in the band. Free up, live your life. And do whatever you like. Boy, yeah, yeah. Mashing up in with DNA. Boy, yeah, yeah. Winding up in with DNA. Boy, yeah, yeah. When we on the roadway, we like we own way. Tell them freedom in with DNA. We go jump till the moon come down. It's we who the stars shine on. Play a mass and break away. Freedom in with DNA. Tell myself I ain't going nowhere tonight. I don't feel the vibe, I deal with the wife. I love to jam and I love to misbehave. Spoiling myself so much we don't feel no type of way. Stay far with your heavy energy. Just give me alcohol, bumpers and fame. It's been so long already for Juve. Singing lyrics of the soul with my hands in the air. Finally, we ready to turn up the place right now. We ready to walk up, we race right now. Ready to spread the hands and break away. Finally, we outside, we run by. Come in to mash up the whole place. Link up, let me roll a vibe. Come in to mash up the whole place. We outside, we run by. Come in to mash up the whole place. Finally, it's madness when we just done. Be a hot gal and bump and show it. Could be rain or hot sun. Our vets say you can't control me. I come to overdo the thing. Free yourself right now and do your thing. Nah, so let we go. Oh, give me more alcohol, bumpers and fame. It's been so long already for Juve. Singing lyrics of the soul with my hands in the air. Finally.
Welcome back, everyone, to islandvibe.net. This is Nikki G, the voice. You're on Table Talk Show with my guest, Gigi, who is the CEO of Well Plugged Services. She gave us a wealth of information, and, it's just so much that, to intake and so forth. Just remember, you could go back and see from the beginning, see the show, and I'm going to have Gigi back on again at some point in order for her to talk about her business. And it's 2 businesses you have, correct?
Well, it's one business and 2
Yes.
subsidiaries. Think of it like the way Apple is. Apple has iPhones, iMac. So WellPlug has DigiConnects, and then we have the event staffing plug. So no matter what, there's always a plug involved somewhere or some type of connecting.
All right. Okay, DG Connects. All right, awesome. And could you give them your websites again so they would know where to reach you, how to reach you, the time, and so forth?
It's www.wellplugservices.com. Our website is constantly under construction because I'm not satisfied with it. When we were talking about people stealing from us, somebody stole from me like $900 to make my website a few years ago. Mind you, I do websites, but I didn't want to do my own because I wanted a specific way that I don't have the skills for yet. And then now I'm doing it and I still don't have it the way I want it. So it's not a big thing to me yet, but I'm getting coaching from Tamika, who's an amazing web designer. So my website will be great eventually. But and you can also reach us at info@WellPlug Services, bookings at WellPlug Services. I'm quicker to answer the phone though, so it's 609-686-5304. You'll catch me on the phone before you catch me on anything else.
All right, perfect. All right, so we're moving on to Gigi's dad. Gigi's dad died. What year was that he passed away?
2022.
2022. Okay. And that was September of 2022 or August?
It was August 28th.
Okay, August 28th. Okay. So her dad's name is Edna Monosier. Right. Edgar Monosier. Channel 10 had covered the news back in January the 3rd. He was at Miami-Dade County, North Miami. On the report, the reporter is Ian Margol, and the digital creator was Andrea Torres. Her dad was at the hospital, and the day that he died, they took him out of the hospital. The hospital doesn't have a morgue, so they basically transferred him from the hospital to the morgue, and somewhere in between there, something happened. All right? Yeah, something happened. So, Gigi, I just want to get by. I mean, we just have a couple of minutes, so I just want to get a brief history of your family, where you came from and so forth. And then we could just go into what happened to your dad before his death.
Okay, so my dad actually is well, my dad has like a good 9 to 11 kids. We're always like confused about which one we were gonna go with for that one. But the way it was is that he was from Haiti, where our family is Haitian. My dad, from what he told us growing up, is Arabic and French descent, and then his family came to Haiti. His great grandparents came to Haiti as tailors and whatnot, and then they built up their empire and money through different businesses in Haiti. My dad himself was an agronomist. He studied soil, and he was very big on giving back to the poor. And he was a part of the UN's initiative back in the 70s and 80s to build up agriculture in Haiti and to plant trees in rural areas that would actually be able to feed the people. So his big thing was actually going to the rural areas and trying to teach them how to properly run the water for irrigation, kind of like what we're doing with the canal right now in Haiti, but to kind of run the irrigation to the soil a certain way to be able to irrigate their land better so that they can have better crops. So he was trying to teach the poor communities in the provinces on how to properly farm so they don't have to go to the market and buy, especially in some provinces didn't realize what kind of food that their particular soil could grow the best. So with him going to Israel for a few years and studying agriculture and soil, which is what agronomists do, they're basically agricultural engineers, and they figure out how to maneuver and manipulate soil for the growth of specific types of plants. So that's basically what my dad did. And then he met my mom. They got married. Prior to that, he had already had 3 sons, one of which was born in Israel that we've never met, because my dad used to joke around and say he never slept in the same bed twice.
What?
It's always his favorite joke. We'd be like, why do you have so many kids? He's like, I don't sleep in the same bed twice.
What? Rolling Stones.
Right. So my dad is a joker. That's where I got my personality from as well. And my mom's a joker too. Like, we're incapable of taking anything serious. We can try our best to, but unless there's money involved, that's the only time we get somewhat serious. Yes. The Capricorn. But
Capricorn too. So I know.
The only thing Capricorns take serious is money. My Capricorn, my dad's a Capricorn. I'm surrounded by them.
Yeah.
So my dad is just like, okay, I didn't sleep in the same bed twice, but he always said, like, my mom was this, that, and the third, and she was like a virgin and whatever, and she told him he had to pay off her tuition before they even went on a date. So he ended up marrying her, and she passed away when I was about 18 months old. And my other mom, her sister and her looked exactly alike. Haitians don't like to tell you their business, no matter what. So it's not like they told me she was dead at first. They just said, your mom went to America, and then shipped me off to America. Oh my God. And then so when I got a lot older, I was like, yeah, what happened now? They're like, yeah, no, she passed away. I was like, oh, I didn't know that because I thought that was my mom. They look exactly alike. So I really did not know for a long time. And she was the bomb too. She passed away from breast cancer when I was 16. Yeah. But my dad moved to America, and he just had a lot going on. In America, it wasn't the same as Haiti because he was involved in, unfortunately, the Papa Doc and Baby Doc administration of Haiti. That was his government agencies that he loved so much. So when that government went down in Haiti, he had to come to America and migrate to America with a lot of his children. Some of his children, I think only one of his children was actually born in America. But for the most part, I still have 2 sisters in Haiti. I know from what he told me, he had a set of twins that passed away, which leads us to 9 kids. So I have 3 older brothers and 5 younger sisters.
All right. And Vanessa is here?
Yes, Vanessa's in America. She is the baby.
Okay.
And the only child that he actually raised as far as living with him, because she came to America when she was 4, and he raised her. And then my other sister, Edleen, is in America as well. She came in maybe during the pandemic. She came to America and ended up staying in America. I have my other, and she's the one right after me. And then I have my other sister, Stephanie, Kimberly, who are still in Haiti, and another sister named Sabrina, who's also in America.
Okay. All right. So your dad, what transpired? What happened that made him, made everything happen?
Well, for one, my dad is a lover, let him tell it. So he's obsessed with always being married or like getting a girlfriend. And then his last wife, I think they were like separating or whatever. They was going through a lot, and she wasn't really able to take care of him. Plus, she was younger and she was working a lot. So my dad kept getting sick. When he caught COVID in 2020, we actually were flying down there, and it took a major toll on especially Vanessa, again, because she's the one who lived with him the longest. So she lived with him since she was 4 years old. From Haiti, she moved out here. Her mom is still in Haiti, and the only parent she's ever known has been my father. So with that being said, me and Vanessa took a lot of trips during the pandemic to go to see my dad. At the time, we weren't even allowed in the hospital, and we were able to get him a personal nurse through one of my friends, and she helped nurse him back to health and gave him a lot of like things to help him out. But my dad is a diabetic. Prior to catching COVID, the first time he had about 3 strokes. So COVID really messed up his lungs badly, even though he recovered. Once he recovered, he started to show signs of dementia as well, and couldn't remember a lot of things and was just like completely off with a lot. And my dad is an emotional man. It's very weird because my moms are not. Everybody always says that. They're like, your moms have no feelings. They have feelings, but if they show you their feelings, you need to be surprised. But my dad, on the other hand, my dad is one of the few men I know who will cry in front of his children. He has no problem. He's like, no, men have emotions. That's why I have that perception, because my dad believes that men have emotions, and it is okay for you to show them. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. As manly and as strict, well, not strict in my eyes anyways, as manly and as rigid as my dad was, my dad would cry so much and talk about his father. And my dad's also a twin. He has about 5 other siblings besides his twin sister.
Okay.
They were all, and him and his twin have a love-hate relationship. They're very close, but then they fight a lot, like most siblings do. But even with her being a doctor in another, she had gotten her medical degree, I think either in Paris or Dominican Republic or something like that. She can't practice medicine here. She was keeping up with a lot of the disarray that was going on with my father. So we had to, at some point, we were sending Uber Eats to him. And because a part of my family apparently is Jewish.
Okay.
Somewhere in the timeline. In the ancestry. So we were able to talk to the Jewish Foundation to send him food as well. So they were sending him meals and meal prep because he was he takes insulin every day. And between the COVID and how it ruined one of his lungs, the past strokes, the dementia, the diabetes, he was deteriorating somewhat. We tried to get our dad to move up here. He came up for Thanksgiving in 2021. And that was the first time I got to like really serve my dad. I cooked for him when I would go visit him in Florida, and he always tells everybody, Gigi taught me how to, because my dad cannot cook at all. He's very spoiled. He's used to women, like he always gets married or finds a woman.
They're into him. Yeah.
Yes. And I was raised in that type of mentality where it's a form of love for you to make sure that the men in the house do not enter the kitchen or touch the stove. So with my dad, he asked me to teach him how to cook the last time one of the times I went to visit him, because he's like, no one's feeding me. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna teach you how to make the simplest thing. You're gonna learn how to make Alfredo, okay? So now he tells everybody, my daughter taught me how to make chicken Alfredo. So that's the only thing I eat, chicken Alfredo and plantains. I'm like, you can't eat chicken Alfredo with plantains. That doesn't go together.
That's a Caribbean thing. Everything is plantains or peas.
All right. So my guy was eating chicken Alfredo with plantain, apparently. Those are 2 things he could make. So when he started to deteriorate after he came to visit us. And I got the opportunity to serve my dad, because like in Haitian culture and a lot of Caribbean cultures, there's a certain way that you set a table for us when we're feeding a man or when we're feeding guests. Where you put the sauce in a bowl, or rice in a bowl,
everything separate
bowl. You cut the fruits up. I did it really nice for him, and that was really cool. And he started crying again. He's like, nobody's done this for me, and I don't even know how long. This is how your mom used to set the table. And I was like, all right, that's where I learned it. And it was really cool. Once he went back to Florida, I think, if I remember correctly, he fell trying to see his sister in the train station, and everything just went left from there. And then he had a whole crisis where my other sister, Edlene, had to go to his house and get the ambulance. It was to the point where he was so off that he was like, where are you taking me? my dad is waiting for me and my sister to go home and I can't find him. If I get home past curfew, I'm going to get beaten and I need to get home. And we're like, Daddy, your dad's been dead for like 20 years. What are you talking about? So at that point, we were like, okay, it's gone. So with him not having care at home, he was put into a nursing home. And we were still trying our best to monitor it. But with my sister being new to America and not understanding a lot, my brother is in Boston. My other brother was incarcerated. We've never even met the one in Israel. Vanessa's up here. Sabrina had a lot going on in her life. I guess she's a nurse and she has kids and all that stuff. So
everyone was far distant. Yeah.
Vanessa was doing her best to keep up. My brother went to go see my dad one day and realized that my dad was having a stroke at the nursing home and no one was paying attention.
Yeah.
And we don't know how many strokes he had that day. So they took him to the hospital and then they tested him and found out. And then we got a notification from the nursing home saying that one of the nurses had COVID and the patients were exposed. So that day he was supposed to be getting a trach put in, and he could not get the trach put in because he could not swallow anymore. Instead of getting the trach put in, they had to take him in for something out, treat him for COVID. And with the second COVID, it went completely left. He was in a coma now because he was already not being able to swallow. He was already depressed because he's in the nursing home. And my dad's a people person. He's not
that alone would have you depressed. Yeah.
Yes. My dad had more friends than there are cities in America at this point, because it's like anywhere he goes, even when he came to visit us in Trenton, he was like, take me to the Haitian neighborhood. I know somebody knows me. And I was like, he's like, I'm famous. I'm telling you, I'm famous. And I'm like, no one knows you. And lo and behold, somebody
will show up.
Even when he was like, take me to Philly. I bet you somebody knows me. The owner of Red Wine is like, yeah, no, I grew up with your dad. I'm like, everybody knows you. He's like, I'm telling you, I'm famous. You just don't realize it. I'm famous. So he was so funny and so cool. So when my sister told me he had a heart attack and she was flipping out. And I'm kind of the calm one in the family for the most part. I'm really good at controlling my emotions for periods of time. I'll let them loose eventually, but in the moment, I can control it. So I went down to Florida and saw my dad, and I didn't recognize him. And my dad is vain.
Yeah. That's after he passed.
This was before he passed. So when we went to the hospital and I didn't barely recognize him, and I know how vain this man is, I was like, his lips were cracked. It was horrible. I was like, ooh, let me tell my sisters to come down. I don't think he's going to survive this time. And they're like, we haven't had any brain activity for some time. So I'm talking to him and I know things that get on his nerves that he'll react to. So I'm like calling him old. And I'm like, look at you looking wrinkled. Ew.
Trying to get a reaction.
Making fun of him. And usually he'll react and be like, and nothing was happening. And I was like, okay, no, he's gone. Because he's not going to let me talk to him like that. He's going to react. So nothing, when I saw there was no reaction, my sisters and my brothers came down and we made the decision to pull the plug. I suggested it and told everybody that, listen, he's not going to make it. I've already been through this multiple times with my mom and everything like that. So I know what it's like when someone is on their deathbed. I'm always the one around in my mom's side of the family when someone dies. I'm always the one finding bodies or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
So I'm used to death. Death doesn't bother me that much. And I was like, guys, we got to pull the plug. So we all agreed to pull the plug. We got him a bedside hospice. It was on the 27th at 11 something when we left the hospital. 6 hours later, my sister got a call. They said that he passed away. I was in Florida at the time and I was like, oh, maybe I should go to the hospital and monitor it. But I know my siblings are always like, I am a micromanager sometimes when it comes to like things like that. When it comes to hospitals, I'm a micromanager. I'm always like asking too many questions and doing a little too much. And I was already micromanaging the night before. And even my uncle was like, calm down. I was like,
that's a business side of you.
I need to know who's liable for certain things.
Yeah.
So I didn't go to the hospital to watch the body get taken away. We went to the funeral home. We spoke to some people. Then 2 weeks later, we came down for the funeral. It was a lot going on, hustle and bustle. We're not from Florida. The funeral home was chosen by my dad's favorite cousin because the funeral home people knew my dad from Haiti. One of the guys was telling us that my dad taught him how to ride a bike and all this cool thing. So we felt trustworthy. We didn't even really, at that point, we're a little distraught. I'm not paying as much attention. I'm trying not to be as extra as I usually am according to everybody else. So I'm like, oh, well, since they know my dad from Haiti and everybody's really cool, there's no reason that I need to really like follow up too much and be around. About this. When we came back for the funeral, a lot of things kept going wrong that day. My sister Vanessa missed her flight, so she had the suit. We had to go buy another suit. And we made sure it was the same exact suit that we had picked because my dad's favorite color was white. So we put the white suit, we gave him the white suit, but he has specific jewelry that he wears a certain way. And we all had those jewelries. And we were like, all right, let me put his jewelry on myself because I know how he wants the jewelry put on. So the night before, we were waiting for like 3 hours in the heat to be able to see the body to put the jewelry on him. When I saw the body, it was not my dad.
So this was how many days after he passed away?
Let's see, this was September 9th because he passed away on the 28th.
Okay.
I flew out the 29th and then I flew back in like the 24th or 25th. And then on September 9th, I asked to see the body because the funeral would be on September 10th.
Okay.
So when I went to go see it, I was like, oh, this is not my dad. The man was like 5'10". My dad is 6'4". The man was really dark skinned. My dad is slightly light, minus the Florida sun and diabetes doing to him. But my dad was like fairly light. And it looked nothing like my dad. Like my dad has the only thing dark on my dad somewhat is his he had like little hairs on his eyebrows that were slightly dark. But my dad has been gray, all gray for a long time. And then in the hospital, clearly they're not going to dye his hair. So when I went to go see him, everything was gray as normal. So I was like, this what y'all dyed his hair? Why is he bald? My dad had a full head of hair. He was not going bald. He had a full head of curly hair and everything like that. And this man, you could tell that the follicles, there was no follicles at the top. There was no follicles on the side. So I'm like, this is not my dad. So I got really emotional at that moment. And I'm usually, because I'm the one that controls my emotions, once I got emotional, my siblings went completely crazy too, because I walked out. Because I knew how much money I had just spent. At the time, I wasn't even working. I had just started a new job a few weeks before my dad died, like maybe 3 weeks before. I started my job on August 8th. My dad died on the 28th. So 20 days into a brand new job, my father passes away. And now I'm in Florida, and then this happens. This is not even the body. So I'm like, I spent all this money on the funeral because at the time we didn't know if he had life insurance. So we paid out of pocket for everything.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I just spent all this money on this funeral, and then this is not even the man in the casket. Then they're like, oh, well, no, blah, blah, blah. They're like, look at the toe tag, look at the wristband. When they looked at that and it didn't match, I completely lost my shit and walked out of the funeral home and was like, yeah, I started screaming, cursing, and everything. And once my family saw that, they went crazy because I don't react that way usually.
Yeah. But what do you mean it didn't match? So whose name did it have on it when you say
we never were able to see, because by that point, once they realized that, they kind of locked us out.
So they had a name, but they never divulged who the name was.
No.
And then
the toe tag was my dad. One of the toe tag was my dad, but the wristband from the hospital was not.
So oh wow.
So when we left from there, I called the funeral home directors. I was talking to them and they was like, no, we don't make those type of mistakes. I'm going to call the hospital, blah, blah, blah. I called my cousin. I'm like, they're like, you guys are emotional right now. Maybe you don't recognize him. I have my dad's face. I look at this face every day. Yeah. I know what the man looks like. All of my sisters, we all look exactly alike. You can always tell who I'm actually related to because my dad has this weird cleft chin. Yeah. I see the cleft in his chin. I didn't see nothing that makes me know that that's my dad. And we all have the same chin and facial bone structure because we all have my dad's chin.
Yeah. So nobody remembered what they might have seen, the name on the...
That's one of the reasons why I'm so big on controlling my emotions more now than I am ever before. Because if I hadn't lost my shit in that moment, if I hadn't,
you would have been able to get
in that moment. Yeah. Because I was just so filled with rage because it took so much that week to get everything together. And we was already doing a lot of in-family arguing and stuff like that happens at funerals all the time. Yeah. And it was already a mix of trying to find his wife to get his paperwork. They had given up his apartment with all his documents. Things were in storage that we didn't put in. We couldn't even get everything together the way we wanted to. So I was so frustrated and angry in that moment. Like, where's his body? That I didn't even pay attention to that. And I left my siblings in there. And because I'm flipping out, they're flipping out because no one's ever seen me that mad. I very rarely get enraged. Yeah. So once that happened, we called them and told them, don't bring the body to the funeral the next day. We're going to have a memorial service. I will order some stuff from Staples. I got posters made on Staples and said, these are the posters I'm going to use instead of bringing the body. The next morning when I went over there to talk to somebody, because we were supposed to have, the repast at the funeral home and a viewing. And I said, we're not doing a viewing. We're not doing anything. and they were having a funeral at a Catholic church. So Catholic churches don't allow you to open the casket. I said, we're not doing none of this stuff. We're going to cancel everything. That night when I had already told my sister, because everybody's like, don't tell Vanessa, because Vanessa temper is as bad as mine's. Mine's rarely comes out. So if they say I take things too far, Vanessa takes them out immediately.
Extremely, yeah.
Yeah, so she's the immediate reaction. Me, I'm the long term, you're going to deal with this for a long time, and I'm going to take it way too far person.
Yeah, yeah.
So they don't like the combination of me and Vanessa together because it doesn't always go too good.
Yeah.
And then you add Lean to the mix, and then my brother X into the mix, and it's just done.
But that's your father. So it's like, how do they expect you to react? But I'm just gonna say this in you know, for lack of time that we have right now and so forth. You know, they actually got the DNA.
Yes.
Right? And
yes,
they had
my DNA and my aunt's.
Right. So they got DNA dental records saying that the results was negative and it wasn't your father.
Right.
Right, from what I read. So after having all that, still, I mean, what is going on? What is
so right now we have no body still. It's been over a year. They haven't identified the chain of custody as and at least explained to us where the chain of custody may have gone wrong. The funeral home maintains its innocence. The Federal Bureau of Funeral Home Investigations in Florida investigated the funeral home and said that they were not found guilty of any mishaps. However, they did use a third-party company to pick up the body.
Okay.
So we are in the middle of dealing with a criminal and civil legal matters, litigations to kind of figure out who's at fault, because the chain of custody for the body has not been identified yet. At least not identified and communicated to the family. So we don't know who the person was that was in the casket. From what we understand, the police is investigating that as a homicide at the moment from the last time that I spoke to them, because no one knows how that person passed away or how they ended up in the casket. And no one knows who that person's family is. So that's the other thing that's making this really weird, is that we have a body that's unidentified.
Yeah, because from what I read, they said that there's only one person that died, so it should have been your father.
Correct. Because the hospital maintains that although it's a teaching hospital, that it does not have a morgue. And I'm not certain about Florida laws, but I know in New Jersey, for you to be a teaching hospital, you have to have a morgue or you have to outsource to a morgue nearby. In addition to that, the hospital also has, the first floor is used for prisoners from the local prison in the local jails. So the first floor of the hospital is where they keep inmates. So we didn't know that until we got to the hospital. So there's a lot of loopholes and missing things going on that we're not sure. And from what the news is saying and from what the lawyers are explaining to us, they believe that there may have been a mistagging of the body. We're not sure on which route or who had the custody of the body when the body was mistagged, which is what we're trying to find out. We just want to know who mistagged the body, who was the last person to see my father's body, and who was able to move it around, because he was on bedside hospice. So the bedside hospice people are only legally on train, but the staff at the hospital is the one taking care of it. So the biggest question was who had the custody of the body last, and if there was a mistagging, who was responsible for the mistagging. So right now we're in litigation to try to find out that information and to see if we can identify who was the person who was in charge of the chain of custody for the body that day.
Okay. All right. You know, I want to say
it's not the first time this happened, apparently.
Yeah.
So
it's not the first time with the same hospital and the funeral home.
From what I understand, the funeral home may have had experiences. I believe they were said to have shipped the wrong body to Haiti at one point. So so that was a issue. But again, the funeral home for the Federal Bureau of Investigations for funeral homes and etc. said that they found no misdealings with the funeral home when they investigated.
I'm just saying that just sounds really fishy to me, you know, because with forensics and all the, everything that we have now, technology that we have now, you could build someone's genetic makeup and know exactly who you're dealing with. You don't even need a name. You know what I mean?
Because even when my father's twin took the DNA test, they said, well, it was inconclusive because she's his twin sister, and twins don't always have matching DNA, which is why I had to come down and take it. And then mine's matched up, and then the dental records matched up with both our DNAs. And then that proved that the man in the casket was actually not my father, because they kept saying that COVID shrinks your bones. And that's why the man was like 6 inches shorter than my father. And that COVID changes your skin tone. COVID changes so many things on your body that it makes you unrecognizable. And I was like, that's impossible.
But then the DNA proved that it wasn't him anyway. So
exactly,
they couldn't deny that, you know.
And that was the hardest part. The hardest part for us wasn't even the fact that he's missing was bad, but the fact that no one believed us and everybody thought that we were crazy and making it up. I think that part kind of ruined my life way more than it should have.
Yeah. Well, my condolences from everyone, you know, here at Island Vibes and Table Talk Show. I hope you get some type of reward, you know, some type of positive feedback at some point in time, and somebody comes forward and says something, because it just sounds really fishy. And these days with body swapping and so many different things and people wanting other people's organs, and now that you're saying that they had that piece, I didn't know, where you say that they had a whatever on top of the building. What was it? Another jail or something on top
on
of
the first floor of the building.
floor.
That's where they see prisoners from the jail.
Right. You know, so that just sounds really, really fishy to me, you know?
Yeah,
really fishy. So
we're not from Florida. We don't know the rules. We don't know the laws. There's nothing in this that would initiate or insinuate that we went down there or we were like trying to manipulate anything, because I haven't lived in Florida since I was 4 or 5 years old. That's the last time I lived in Florida legally. So I don't know anything about Florida rules and regulations. My sister has been out of Florida since she was 16, because that's when I got custody of my little sister. So, and Adeline is still assimilating to the country. She's only been here since 2020. So she's still getting her English together, starting to understand the rules and regulations of the country. It's not that. And Edson hasn't lived in Florida in about 10 years himself. So none of us could have been fully aware of the process of a loved one dying in Florida, or how to follow up with a loved one dying in Florida, the funeral process, the legal processes of dying in Florida, because this is the first time that we had a parent pass away in Florida. And this is the only parent that we all have in Florida to begin with. Some of us don't even have parents in America to begin with. So none of us were aware of how the structure of Florida's funeral systems, hospital systems, when it comes to death, especially the death of a parent, none of us were aware. So the only thing I can say with this day and age, mark your family's body up when they're in a hospital. At this point,
take
a permanent marker and like write an X on a weird part of their body. So that way you'd be like, no, I put an X on their left kneecap. And I know this is my person.
The thing is, they have evidence. Right? They do have evidence that is not him. That's my thing. They do have evidence. But you know, for lack of time, we've gone over like 15 minutes.
Yes,
you know, it was such a pleasure, you know, as I said before, meeting you, hearing your story. I just pray that everything goes well in the future and you get some kind of positive feedback in reference to this. You guys stay on top of it. You know, it could be something so simple that's probably in your face and everybody's not seeing it. And the thing is, the state is involved and you can't let them just push it underneath the rug. You know, when it comes to state issued things or anything of the sort that the government has to do, sometimes you find time passes by and maybe 30 years from now, they'll find out what it is when they could have found out what it is now, you know?
Right.
So I wish you the best of luck. I wish you the best of luck in your business.
Thank you.
And everything that you're doing. I'm coming to you as a client because you have so much information that I want to know and I want to share with my people as well. So, you know, and everybody that's locked on and listening, thank you so much for logging on to islandvibe.net. Keep it locked. You could also go back if you just tuned in and, you know, review what you saw. If you have any information for us, you can email us at islandvibe.net@gmail.com. All right. All the information is going to be below. You could click on the links and you could reach us if you have a story to tell. Have a great day, everyone. You can add me also, Nikki G The Voice, on Instagram and nikkigmedia.com on the internet. Peace and love, and have a great day, everyone.
Welcome to Table Talk with Nikki G The Voice, where we bring to you highlights of entrepreneurs, leaders, organizers, and much more. A broad spectrum of professionals, including chefs, artists, designers, musicians, and much more. Our show is a new brand of talk shows where we educate, bring transparency, and last but not least, fun. Table Talk. Get ready for our seasons, a roller coaster of emotions, all wrapped into one. Caribbean style. We'll cover our Caribbean roots as well, so keep it locked. Welcome to Table Talk. Follow us on Instagram, YouTube, and iTunes.
Own it, girl, you just own it. 'Cause your body's on fire. Show me how to control it.
Table Talk Show is now on Island Vibes Radio. You can catch us every Saturday from 10 to 12 p.m. Log on to Island Vibes, Philly, or Island